Hi, welcome to the Introduction to Philosophy. My name is Mark Thorsby, and I'm going to be your professor over the next couple of weeks here as we explore the basic philosophical topics from Western philosophy. So let me begin by just saying a little bit about who I am, and then I'll give you a brief survey of how this course works and give you a sense of what the expectations and course requirements are. And then after that, I'll say a few brief words about what philosophy is, and then we'll get going. So my name is Mark Thorsby. I've been teaching here at Lone Star College for about a year and a half now. Before that, I was in New York City, where I taught at the New Jersey City University as well as City University of New York. But I live in Houston now, so this is where I'm teaching. And This course, let's see, what else should I say about myself? In terms of my philosophical specialty, I mainly focus on existentialism, phenomenology, and ethics, environmental ethics, as well as a little bit of the philosophy of language. So that's sort of the nexus of issues that get me excited in philosophy, but you don't have to worry about that now. So that's a little bit about who I am. Welcome to this online course, I guess. Let me go ahead and just move forward here and talk about what the general course requirements are. And you'll see right below this video, there's what's called a Prezi. Um, it's sort of like presentation software, and you can click through this. If you press play, you can click through it as I'm speaking. You'll actually find that this is called the course map. In the online section, I've created this. It's sort of, I've noticed in the past that a lot of students sort of get lost about what the requirements are. It's not very clear, maybe in the syllabus. So I've tried to really make it clear with this course map, so you can go on at any time and find out what's due when, what the reading material is, and what the assignments are. So, but let me go through it. So if you want to click through it as I go, that'd be great. But basically, this course is structured around talks. And essentially what I've done is I've recorded all of the lectures in audio. So unlike other online courses you may have taken where you're primarily just reading, reading and writing, in this course there's also listening. And so, because I've tried to simulate the lecture experience a bit by creating talks. Basically, they're podcasted lectures. And if you go in under the lessons tab, not right now, but after you watch this video, you'll see there's a folder called podcast. If you click on that, you can click a button that says Add to iTunes, so it'll automatically download all of the lectures for the entire course that you're going to be listening to. Essentially, there's about 3 lectures a week. Not always, but for the most part, that's what it is. 3 lectures a week, which cover the 3 assigned readings for the week. So, excuse me, I'll edit that out. So you have 3 lectures per week you'll listen to. You can also listen to them online. And this course is designed by weeks. So week 1, you click on a button that'll say, go under talks. You'll click on a button that says week 1, and then you'll see there's 3 lessons in there. You do the reading, and you listen to those lectures, and then each week you have to post to a discussion board, a weekly discussion board, as well as complete a weekly lesson review, which generally essentially goes over the basic information that was covered in the material. It's something like a short quiz. And that's effectively what you'll be doing throughout the semester. So essentially, in all deadlines, you'll see will be due on Friday at noon. So essentially, each week you'll log in, you'll listen to the lectures, do the material, complete and submit anything necessary by Friday of that week. And of course, you'll have the weekend to get started as well. Submit anything necessary. And then you're done for the week. So that's essentially how the course is operated. Each week, though, at the beginning of each week, I'll post a video, a video in which I'll go over any questions you may have raised, anything that I thought was noteworthy from the discussion board, and just also giving you a sense of what we're covering that week. So I'm trying as best I can to simulate a live course experience instead of, because Because the truth is that philosophy is really about discussion. And so it's hard to do that, except I think through video and audio podcasts, this is going to be an innovative way to take this course. So each week there's a weekly video that's posted again with 3 audio lectures that are assigned. And if you look under in the Prezi, you can see there's a list of all the topics as well as the assigned reading. Now, in terms of our book, this is our textbook here. The Introduction to Philosophy, Classic and Contemporary Readings, edited by John Perry. It's published by Oxford University Press in 2010. You can get this book, and there's lots of used copies of this textbook at the college bookstore here at the Barker Cypress campus. So if you need this, you can also, if you look in your syllabus, there's also an ISBN number, so you can order it online if you like. This is a great textbook, but let me just start off by saying there's no way we're going to read all this. So unfortunately, there's a lot of information here that I'm hoping you'll read on your own, which would certainly help you as extra reading. But we definitely can't read everything, so don't get too scared when you see the size of this book. We are reading a lot, but not everything. So that's our textbook, and you'll see if you look in the Prezi or the syllabus, you can see what the assigned readings are per day. Now, occasionally there is some reading that's not in the book, and if there's an online reading, if there's a selection of reading that comes from online, I'm sorry, I'm sort of getting garbled in my words here, but if you read, if there's a reading selection that's not in your book, it's located online under what's called the course library, and you can find that as well. So that's the gist of where the coursework is and so forth. So, and those podcasts, I think all of the podcasts for the whole semester are actually up. And I may occasionally re-record a few of those. They were recorded live in a classroom setting, so there's oftentimes discussion and that sort of thing. Okay, the next sort of thing you have to do, besides the talks and the podcast, are the weekly discussions. So each week, essentially, there's a discussion forum in which you have to post, essentially answer a couple questions. That's based upon the material and upon what philosophical puzzles that are located back here. So that's essentially what our weekly discussion board is. In terms of exams, there's 2 exams. There's a midterm exam as well as a final examination. The midterm exam is going to be due on March 11th, and the final exam is due on May 13th. Those are Fridays, and they're always due Friday by noon. So the midterm exam, you'll take it completely online. I know a couple people usually want to know if this is a fully online course, and it is. You never have to come to the campus except to buy your book, unless if you don't want to. So, in terms of so you have the 2 exams. In terms of papers, you're actually going to be writing 6 one-page response papers. So what are these 6? These are just one page, no more than 1 page, and essentially every couple weeks here, I want you to begin to put down words and answer a specific philosophical question. Because what's going to happen is you're going to write these 6 papers, and then at the end of the semester I want you to edit them and pull them together to create a portfolio of sorts. And so this is the idea of this assignment is that you can begin to process the information as well as to explore your own philosophical leanings. So for instance, the first 1-page response paper here is to the question, respond to the question, what is philosophy? And by the time you have to turn that paper in, we'll have discussed a lot of different ideas. And what I want you to do in that paper is essentially crystallize your conception. And then effectively what's going to happen here is the first batch of response papers, I'm going to read very thoroughly and give you lots of comments. But then the batches after that, I'm going to be using a sort of quick checklist to give you feedback, because I have so many of these to read. But and these 6 one-page response papers, they're graded as credit, no credit, partial credit. So effectively, if you write a sufficient paper, you'll get credit. So what I want to do with these is I really want to give you a chance to explore your own view. And so there's these 6 one-page papers, and then at the end of the semester, instead of doing a research paper, what I'm going to have you do is re-edit all 6 of those papers and put them together, and you have something of a portfolio for your own philosophical perspective. So that's essentially what we're doing in terms of writing in the course. So it's not a research paper, but it's your own view in the context of the material we've been covering. And more, I'll talk more about that as we go forward here. You can see the deadlines in your syllabus for those. And finally, there's lesson reviews. And every Friday, a small lesson review will be due. It looks sort of like a small quiz, which basically it gives me a sense if you understood the basic concepts of the material, and also so you understand what I think the most central concepts of the chapter are. So you can essentially, if you keep up with the lesson reviews, you can think of the lesson reviews as a series of things to study for the exams. But there's these small lesson reviews, and you just need to take these once a week. It's not too long, just a couple true, false, multiple choice questions. And so you do those lesson reviews, you post, you write your papers, and stay active. That's pretty much what this course requires in terms of its overview of how the course works. So just to give you a sense again, each week you're effectively going to be saying, okay, here's the reading material, you'll read it, and then from there you'll go post to the discussion board, do your lesson review, and maybe write a paper. A one-page paper. And that's one-page double space. Single space, it doesn't matter, but you have to make sure it's just one page. So that's how the course works. I hope that gives you a sense of what we're going to be doing in this course. This week, there is no lesson review. The only thing I'd like you to do this week is post to our discussion board, as well as complete a syllabus questionnaire, which if you just click next up here, it'll take you over there. So that's what we're doing. So let me conclude with just a few brief words about philosophy in general. Philosophy is a very exciting topic, but it's huge. Philosophy is essentially the grappling with what it means to be human and to have meaning in our world, and so it's a sort of question about all those sorts of things. There's different sides of philosophy. On the one hand, there's the question of knowledge, right? This is usually referred to as epistemology. Again, that's epistemology, and the idea here is the question: how do we know what we think we know? Can we really be certain we know things? There's also in philosophy the question of ethics, and the question of ethics is how we ought to live, right? How do we know what sorts of courses of action we ought to take in differing dilemmas or scenarios. So that's the question of how we can know we have a good life, how we ought to live, what our principle is, why we do what we do, ethics, which concerns action. And then a third major branch of philosophy is called metaphysics. And metaphysics, as the name sounds, it means that which comes after physics, the physical. So, or in other words, my definition for metaphysics is that which must necessarily be the case, such that the world is as it is. I'll say that one more time. Metaphysics is the study of that which must necessarily be the case, such that the world is as it is. And so the idea here is metaphysics studies what you might think of as the substratum of reality, reality itself. So for instance, just to give you an example, metaphysics, early metaphysicians in ancient Greece believed that at the core everything must be made of just single particles, and they called them atoms. That's part of the substratum to explain why the world is as it is. And today we actually accept some version of that ancient theory, though it's no longer metaphysical, but physical. Anyway, I don't want to get stuck on that. So philosophy is sort of these are three major branches of philosophy that we're going to be studying. As the semester goes through, we're going to be starting with questions of epistemology. Well, not quite. We're going to start off by looking at the history of philosophy, looking at Plato and Aristotle and the pre-Socratics, and then from there we're going to look at the questions of epistemology, the questions of knowledge, and then from there the question of metaphysics and what being is, and the question of God's existence and so forth. Does God exist, for instance, is a classic philosophical question and debate. And then after that we'll look at personal identity, How do I know that I'm the same person?